еврокомисарите са избрали. Я да видим.
27 commissioners are...
Я само тук да пусна субтитрите на български язик, за да гледате. Защото това е много важно, между другото. Това е изключително важно.
About to lead the European Union. But
крайно време да изберат еврокомисарите.
Can you name even one of them? Okay, sure. Ursula von der Leyen is a gimme. She's the EU leader most people know. But what about the other 26? Anyone? Let us know how many you can name.
Нуличка. Дори нашата не мога да запомня коя е.
Without watching this video in the comments below. And if you can't, don't worry. These aren't exactly household names, unless your household includes Brussels bureaucrats. But here's the thing. This team will shape Europe's policies.
Последната, тая ли е нашата? Тая ли е нашата? Захариева, да.
Laws, and even your day-to-day life over the next 5 years. From the food on your plate to the apps on your phone. They're in charge. Now, these top jobs don't just fall into their laps. Von der Leyen handpicked her squad. But then came the real test. 4 weeks of grilling by the European Parliament. Think of it as job interviews. And here are some of the greatest hits.
Ooh, biseri.
First up, Romanian Roxana Minzatu, the Executive Vice President for People, Skills and Preparedness. During her session, a charming fellow from the Patriots for Europe accused her of being nothing more than a quota hire. Ouch. But Roxana didn't flinch. She laughed and clapped back, with a sharp defense of 50% of people being female. Then there was French Stéphane Séjourné, the Executive Vice President for Prosperity and Industrial Strategy. In the middle of his pitch, he pulled out a rock. Yes, an actual rock. Why? Well, he wanted to make a point about Europe's need to recycle rare materials. And finally, things got heated when Italian Aethelthryth, the Executive Vice President for Cohesion and Reforms, faced accusations of being a symbol of neo-fascist whitewashing. I have to say, the hearings definitely had their dry moments, but between the drama, the props, and the clapbacks, they were surprisingly entertaining. Now, these three aren't the only executive vice presidents. Let's meet the others. Finland's Henna Virkkunen takes on tech sovereignty, security, and democracy. Spain's Teresa Ribera Rodriguez leads the charge as Executive Vice President for a clean, just, and competitive transition. And then there's Estonia's Kaja Kallas, the High Representative for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy. And of course, at the very top, we have von der Leyen, the President of the European Commission. Now let's spend
нещо не виждам белгийското знаме, чат.
a bit of time on Kaja Kallas, as she's stepping into one of the EU's most crucial roles. As the EU's new top diplomat, Kallas actually struck an optimistic tone about EU's global influence. She delivered a clear and uncompromising stance on Ukraine, declaring that Ukraine must win its war against Russia. She didn't hold back on other global players either,
Естонка е, какво да кажа?
calling China a systematic rival intent on undermining the international order, alongside states like North Korea and Iran. But when it comes to the idea of an EU army, Kallas drew a very firm line. I don't think the European Union needs separate military powers from NATO.
Ужас!
And later, she also claimed that we don't need an EU army. Now, if you've been paying attention, you might have noticed we've only covered 7 commissioners so far. But we said there are 27. Here's the deal. Each of the 27 EU member states gets 1 commissioner, but the rest don't get the spotlight like the executive vice presidents. Still, there are definitely some standout roles among them, like Lithuania's Andrius Kubilius, the new commissioner for defense and space. Kubilius didn't hold back during his hearing, painting a very stark picture of Europe's defense challenges, Russia ramping up its spending, and the US shifting focus to China. So what's his plan? In one word, spend. And spend big.
Хайде, money cash!
Kubilius said that NATO's 2% GDP target for defense spending simply isn't enough. He wants the EU to commit to a larger budget for defense and space, bigger than ever before. His proposals
Това са необходимости в момента, дори не е разумно, необходимости са.
include a 500 billion euro EU-wide air defense system and a land defense network for the bloc's eastern flank. And that's just the start. He estimates 200 billion euros are needed over the next decade to upgrade roads and railways to move tanks and troops efficiently across the continent, making the 1.2 billion euro European Defense Fund look like loose change. Second,
Стотинки.
he wants the EU to learn from Ukraine, specifically championing the Danish model, where allies fund arms production inside Ukraine, boosting local manufacturing capacity while directly supporting Kiev's war effort. Third, he's against duplicating NATO's work. Instead, Kubilius focuses on filling gaps NATO can't address, like organizing the funding for an additional 1,500 tanks Europe reportedly needs. Finally, he's setting his sights on space. Kubilius plans to shake up rocket development.
Това трябва да се случи. Буквално трябва да се случи.
Encouraging smaller companies in Europe to compete with Ariane 6 and drive innovation. But here's the catch. Ideas like this cost money, and plenty of commissioners have grand plans, but no one's saying where the money will come from. In addition, the EU needs to start repaying its massive next generation EU loans soon. So the budget negotiations are shaping up to be very interesting. So what happened? Are these commissioners now in power? Well, after weeks of haggling, backroom deals, and some last-minute drama, the European Parliament finally voted on the 26 commissioners. And wow, it was a lot closer than expected.
Те могат да гласуват близко, но поне вършат работа. Ние сме най-големите будали тук.
Out of the 719 MEPs, 370 voted in favor, 282 against, and 36 abstained. Close, but it's a win. The commission is now officially approved, marking the first time in nearly 2 decades that no candidate was outright rejected. And they're set to kick off work on December the 1st. Now let's talk about how the votes broke down by political group. Support...
Случи ми се най-странното нещо. Преди малко чакам на светофара, светва ми зелено, тръгвам в същия момент, връща червено и светва червено като за всички. Нарича се Flipper Zero.
Likewise, the patriots, sovereignists, and the left ended up without any representation. This new commission reflects a stark shift to the right in EU politics.
Абсолютно разбираемо е това.
This leaves the center-right EPP as the undisputed powerhouse in the EU's political landscape, with its ability to pivot left or right to find parliamentary majorities. Now, this is my opinion.
Християн-демократите продължават да бъдат най-важната партия в Европа и ако някой смята, че не се бърка, най-важната партия в Европа продължава да бъде християн-демократите. И между другото, християн-демократите в момента са натоварени и с много голяма отговорност за това как ще изглежда Европейския съюз, как ще изглежда включително НАТО с назряващата подкрепа за АФД конкретно.
I simply do not like how the commissioners are chosen. And this starts with Ursula von der Leyen. The system lacks transparency, and it's deeply flawed. Von der Leyen is chosen behind closed doors by European leaders, and then she handpicks her team from proposed commissioners submitted by each member state. The only voice people have is through the European Parliament, which can vote on these candidates, but that's far too indirect. This lack of public involvement leads to one glaring issue. No one knows who these people are. It's a real shame, as these commissioners hold significant power over our everyday lives, from the food
Нашата за какво е стартъпи, иновации и R&D.
we eat to the digital tools we use. This process needs urgent reform to give citizens more say and to bring accountability to the people shaping Europe's future. But what do you think? Do you like the new EU Commission? We also have a very...
Как мога да ги харесваме, като не ги познаваме? Смисъл, те казват отговора и задават въпроса. Иба ората!